So let's begin by settling the body, adopting a stable, comfortable, upright position, serviceable for meditation. So we think about keeping our feet flat and our back straight, torso open, hands in the lap right over left with the palms upturned and the thumbs gently touching. Our eyes are gently closed or slightly open, making sure we let in enough light to remain alert. We try to maintain an awareness of not slouching or leaning, also letting go of any unnecessary tension or rigidity in the body, allowing the body to fall into place. And begin moving your awareness away from the outside environment, allowing sights and sounds to be as they are without investigation, constraining your awareness just to the body and mind. Concentrating that awareness in the present by attending closely to the physical sensation of the air moving into and back out of the tip of the nostrils. Noticing quickly when anything other than that one physical sensation is arising in the mind, and without judgment or frustration, lifting your awareness up from those distractions and placing it gently but firmly again and again on the breath. And when the mind feels more calm, generate a broad altruistic motivation for your time, intentionally widening your circle of concern, bringing to mind the kindness of all sentient beings, how oneself is the recipient of that incredible web of kindness in each moment. Everything that we know, every beneficial condition, everything that we use keeps us safe and warm, nourished. It's coming from the labor, the effort, the kindness of limitless sentient beings. Sentient beings are the field in which we develop our good qualities, our spiritual qualities as well. So all happiness, temporary and ultimate, depends on sentient beings. So I think that by cultivating those good qualities, we generate states of mind that naturally and spontaneously is able to be of benefit, to repay that kindness. And the more that we distance ourselves from states of mind that are destructive, the less likely we are to engage in actions that cause harm to others, which is also how we are of benefit. Generate that broad mind wishing to engage in practice for the benefit of others. And then with that motivation, we will engage in our final contemplation on the 8 verses of thought transformation. So, verse 8, may all these practices be undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, may I be released from the bondage of attachment. May all these practices be undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, may I be released from the bondage of attachment. So the first of these 2 teachings is encouraging us to work with the way that the ego gives rise to the 8 worldly concerns. and to make sure that our spiritual practice in particular is not influenced by the eight worldly concerns. So these are wanting gain, wanting to avoid loss, wanting pleasant experiences, wanting to avoid unpleasant experiences, wanting to be praised, to hear sweet, ego pleasing words, and to avoid any criticism or blame, and to be thought of as having high status or good reputation, and wanting to avoid being thought of as someone of low status or poor reputation. So, in general, we can say being preoccupied with what's pleasant and being averse to what is unpleasant. These drives are very deeply ingrained habits. And they give rise to a sense of fragility in the mind being inflated, deflated over and over, depending on external circumstances. So think back over the past few months and see how these impulses are influencing your life. Try to develop some insight into these patterns. And then, having gained some insight, try to understand, recognize that being preoccupied in that way with these external circumstances, events, is an obstacle to our spiritual practice. Being particularly on guard for those concerns influencing our spiritual lives, wanting to learn more in order to gain wealth or status or reputation, and pleasant experiences as a means of avoiding the loss of wealth or status, reputation, pleasant experiences. Seeing that influence as something to be overcome, particularly by recognizing the impermanent, fleeting nature of achieving or successfully avoiding any of the 8 worldly concerns, no matter how much wealth or fame or comfort we have in this life still ends. But the preoccupations, the habits, the tendencies that we developed, that chased those temporary states, those habits continue to influence the mind in future lives. So think about how you might use wisdom of impermanence as an antidote to the arising of the 8 worldly concerns. We can also use the wisdom of the second teaching in the verse by perceiving all phenomena as illusory. May I be released from the bondage of attachment. So this is pointing to the most profound topic that the Buddha taught, the nature of reality, its ultimate nature. So although this is a detailed, difficult subject, we can say that ordinarily when we observe, cognize an object, it appears to the mind to have its own identifiable essence, completely separate from oneself as observer. As though it is telling us what it is from its own side. And although those phenomena exist, that certainty, that concreteness is something that we are actively adding on top of what we are actually observing. Those phenomena do exist, but they exist as a dependent arising. Their existence depends entirely on all of the causes and conditions that give rise to that present moment that we're observing. They depend upon all of the parts that we are observing. And then they depend upon actively labeling independence upon those causes and those conditions and those parts, a name, a concept. So this is about taking responsibility, understanding the active nature of cognition, what we bring to the act of cognition. It's that concreteness that's illusory. There is no such solidity of identity in what we are observing. And when we can hold what we observe more lightly, then we are, as it says, freed from attachment. And just try to explore those ideas. Thinking of something that you are attached to. and analyzing what is the nature of my attachment, what is the nature of the object to which I am attached. Is it true that it is completely independent, floating out there in space? Or am I intimately involved in creating it? And can I hold it more lightly, reduce my attachment? And then when you're ready, we'll come back together. And we'll dedicate. So recollect your altruistic motivation. Think that by having engaged in this contemplation, you've actualized that motivation, which has generated positive energy in the mind. That positive energy is something that you freely offer for the benefit of all sentient beings without exception. Thinking when that positive energy ripens, may it serve as a cause and condition to eliminate war and conflict, poverty, famine, disease, disasters, all painful inner and outer conditions. May it fully ripen the minds of all sentient beings. May they quickly meet perfect teachers and arise in the state of full enlightenment. May I too achieve the state of enlightenment in order to work for the benefit of sentient beings perfectly. May any obstacles facing the Guru's long life be completely dispelled. And may I and all sentient beings in this moment come under the joyful care and guidance of enlightened beings. May we be guided and protected until we swiftly achieve that state of enlightenment. Thank you.